I'm back with another one. This one I wanted to do a little bit of follow up to a couple. I did one video where I was like, I was talking kind of crazy, like, covalent bonds, and then the video cut out. But I was trying to upload. I was trying to follow up to three different videos I did about logo, and I was going to lean a little bit more into to chemistry with that one. And I'm also going to follow up my last video because I made some references to chemistry that I don't think I enunciated in there. But what I was trying to say in that video that got cut off, and also in this last video, is that I had been getting I'd been getting off into discussion with someone, and they were saying that he enjoys steak more than the word salad that I was bringing forward, and I was saying that it's true enough. Some of the greatest things have been done with while people eating steak, and both steak and salad are healthy for you, and it doesn't have to always be one or the other. It can soon be both and I normally get both. I normally get steak and salad together when I order things, and and then I was talking about how I had recently been doing studying in school about chemistry, and how in chemistry a lot of things, our entire experience of reality and our reality is a function of bonding and bonds. But in itself, you could say what is as in that last video I was saying, maybe the great is the greatness is the greatest of great a mushroom, is the greatest of great a frog, is the greatest of great a frog that's familiar with mushrooms, is the greatest of great corn. I lean more towards corn. But yet I would say what maybe even greater than all those would be bond. Because I think I made a video saying that we can, maybe this existence can be simply polarity and intention. Those two right there, polarity and intention, both of those being different degrees and emanating points of the same thing, the same experience, amounting to meaning. Meaning being the only thing that has real reality, real consequence. Therefore, reality is meaning. The meaning that prompts intention into polarity, back into polarity and intention and mean. So meaning prompts polarity, and polarity defines it expresses meaning to yet define and substantiate meaning, which was the same as though it had been introduced and then completed if it had been real. And so a lot of this life we're really just experiencing different degrees of polarity. All of our senses are in polarity, are in vibration, and so vibration is a consequence of polarity, and all of our experience, our sensation and experience is yet within polarity. And our will, our volition, our active will is a finer degree of polarity, but it's still polarity. And so in that, the polarity actually is arbitrary because it's never settled. It's that there's only one thing there's only one thing that's eternal, and that's change in itself. And so therefore all things are arbitrary. Had that really been right, had that really been left, had that really been up, had that really been down, had that really been east, had that really been west, it yet stands to be further defined because it's not settled for all there. But mean, and so in that sense, this life can be equated to a dream because it's as arbitrary. Arbitrary means that you can't distinguish any of those different distinctions or directions that I just said once and for all without being arrogant. That's arbitrary. And so much of our experience in a sense is actually arbitrary, and it is also passing. So from there we can say our reality, our experience is as a dream. But there are some things that are very vivid in that dream. Some of it being polarity, like I said, that the scent and taste of a pizza shop is one of the realest things in a dream of life, and yet it's still yet polarity, vibrations that's being experienced there. But if this existence is a dream, then our meaning, what we mean to one another is the reality in there. And then yet what is still what is the greatest meaning? What has the most meaning, the most consequence, the most consequence and the most meaning is our bond. They say like word is bond, and they say that the word was with the absolute, and the absolute was the word. the word is our bond. Our words are, when we enunciate, we are communicating, and we are demonstrating and facilitating bonds based on our understanding and experience of bonds. So this reality can be it is a form of dream, and it is an experience of dream, but it is yet a consequence of bonds, and those bonds are realer than anything, including reality itself. Is bonds is what's real. So, but also when you're talking about like any all so all I've said that I think that the only subject that exists is romance, and that all things are romance. And then if you want to get technical about that, because there is yet structure, that would be chemistry. So chemistry is a yet more superficial degree of romance in the first place, and romance is a consequence and feature of bonds and bonding. Bond, the word, nothing more. Bond is what is romance, and then amounting to as fine as chemistry is, like when you're talking about fine subatomic quantum particles, which even the term particle might be arbitrary and it's just simply polarity. And But that can be brought back to as fine as you had already been. While in terms of chemistry, that can be brought back to romance, and then that can be brought further back to bond in the first place. And so and then I had said in another video that maybe a better word, because we think of terms when you get into polarity, you're talking about what's crudely called positive and negative. And I think that those words are arbitrary, again, because you ascribe preconceived meaning to what they are when you say positive and negative, as though positive amounts to what is positive and negative amounts to what is negative. But positive more so amounts to what is negative a lot, and negative can often amount to what's positive, because that's how dynamic and counterintuitive reality is. But a better word than positive and negative would be attraction and repulsion, attraction and aversion. That's been cited by Arthur Avalon, is that all things are a feature of attracting and averting of repelling. And so like when you're so like maybe the best teacher in life, I've talked about the goats, a lot of goats on this channel. Maybe the best teacher in life is like Pepe Le Pew. So now Pepe Le Pew, he thinks himself as the most attracting, but because of that, and maybe because he is so attracting, he is the most repelling. And it's just this, you can't get away from this attracting and repelling feature. And so when you're considering like chemistry, so I'd say like, what is the greatest? Who is the great? A lot of people know a lot about a lot of stuff, and they still yet don't know shit, and and they have the receipts to show that they don't know shit, and we know they don't know shit even though they know all the shit. And that's because, so who would really be the greatest? And then I was talking a little bit about how our understanding of great things have been in terms of feudalism. How we understand the greatest is like what's handed down to us in a canon, an example and demonstration of feudal allegory. And but I would say that the only thing that's different than anything, the only thing that's really great, the one that could really be called great, would be someone who appreciated romance differently than a lot of people, who could yet appreciate, enjoy, and remain and respect romance in itself would be the greatest right there, because all that we experience in life is a function of romance, I think. And so just a different look at romance is what it is to be great. Corn, mushroom, frog. I think the great is just someone is maybe the greatest would be a poet. Poets are the author. Arthur Avalon, I don't know. The orator Osho said that a lot of our greatest people at poetry are like appreciating and venturing insight and commentary on what it means to love and be loved, are yet the poorest lovers, because you actually kind of have to suck at something to be good at it. Like I think it's like similar with, like with humor, because for a long time like I really like sucked at humor, but I thought I did at least, but I got better when I had enough nerve to offer humor, and actually really kind of not not expect for it to land well, and actually enjoy giving people a hard time, but also doing so humorously and offering like insight and enlightening when I do so. But yet you can be say that the person who, and I was telling someone recently that I abstained from pork for so long, honestly, that I amounted to being something of a ham around people. So a lot of times, like what we think, what we do the opposite is what we actually achieve the opposite. Sometimes we amount to the best things about ourselves, in spite of having never set out to do that consciously. But so the people that are the greatest are also the people that suck at stuff, and so it's similar like with like poetry and like writing love songs, but also I would still say that the greatest might be someone that looks at romance differently, because all that we're experiencing is romance. And so like when you talk, I was giving this person a hard time who said that steak is better than word salad that I offered, and I was saying that both are nutritious and no one's entitled to anything. And which may be the person's dilemma, and that it doesn't have to be either or; it can be soon be both and but I was saying that like with your steak is that I was recently doing learning about how what's called mad cow disease is a function of the shape of certain proteins that are communicated to cows in their food sources, and that it's the all of the reality of the all of the function and existence of that form of disease in mad cow's disease is a feature not of bacteria or of it's not a feature of like a virus or a bacteria, but it's merely the shape of the proteins, and what you do and do not do in treating it, like cooking it and so forth, it does nothing to the shape of the protein, so that detriment will seamlessly transfer across from the compromised food source to the animal and creature that becomes compromised and loses its life either to being compromised or to being slain, and then it's packaged, or it's cleaned, and then it's treated like maybe cooking or whatnot, and it's packaged, and then it's sent off to a consumer, and then it's yet experienced by that consumer, enjoyed by that consumer, and communicated to that consumer in a detriment to that consumer, and it's all because of the shape of that protein. It doesn't matter what you had done to treat it and to prepare it. And so, but the deeper thing is that it's the mechanics of it, it's the mechanics of it that is significant in chemistry. That's what's profound. When you see something like really cool, like when some little kids, like some little boys, hear a car take off. I can't do the cool car sounds or like gun sounds like some people can, but we're all yet captivated by the sound of guns, like fireworks, and and fast cars. And what's interesting about that to us is that it's the mechanics of these like the fuel source or the gunpowder. It's the mechanics of it that's profound in the first place. The When it's acting like that, like so we all have standing, we all have respect, we all think this and that about ourselves, and boom, something went off, and all of y'all are at attention, and you're on your heels because that sound means what that sound means. But that sound means that because of the mechanics of the bonds between those bonds, the bonds of what's called of what's being understood in terms of it's been rendered that way by our understanding of chemistry. It's yet still romance, and it's these bonds, and life and death doesn't matter, bonds matter. And so whoever you are, whoever you aren't, if you're around a gunshot that goes off, it means a gunshot, and it's because of the way that the mechanics of these bonds. First and foremost, the only difference between some water that I pour on the ground and a gunshot is the nature and the position and the behavior of the bonds. And they're not stronger like the water. Now, when you have water like that might seem like it's something gentle and innocent, but that's yet hydrogen in itself. And I think that the hydrogen bomb is hydrogen, water, hydrogen. You can have the biggest bomb, way bigger than any gunshot, coming from water. So the water is not necessarily meaner or nicer than the gunpowder, but it's just the mechanics in the way that they're with one another. So what I wanted to say is that what I was trying to say, covalent, and then it breaks off in that other 3-minute video. I think part 3 of the logo is that all that we experience in of what's known as chemistry and what I'm calling romance is about bonding. It's about the bonds. It's about not necessarily. If you say positive and negative, you become distracted and confounded because those lend themselves to abstractions that are arbitrary. But attraction and repulsion are what's really happening. And you actually being attracted is a form of repulsion, and being repulsed is also a form of attraction. They're not different. They're just different expressions of the same thing. Yet again, in terms of bonding. But there's true so like the reason in that book I was reading about the cow, about the compromised protein, the reason that water is so good for us is because within water, the bonds of the water are unique, and they're a little bit gentler, and they're therefore smoother because of the nature of their so there's two ways to be connected to anyone. It's the same in dating, and it's also the same in what we know of as chemistry, and it can be all of what we experience as chemistry can be a feature of this. Now there's 2 ways of being attracted to someone. There is you're attracted to someone, like someone's cool, and you're coming closer and closer to each other to get to know, you're interested, you're getting to know one another, and you're drawn to each other because of, again, polarity, because you're different, likely, but you're yet interested in it's your difference between you that's drawing you together, but you're it's right there, it's like that. And so there's a certain strength from that, but there's also a certain aloofness in that, and that's some of the dynamism of water, of how like there's water has like just a little bit of give to it. It's not all it sticks like I don't know if they say sticks like water or sticks like glue. Even like glue and water, they stick together differently, but the water is more yet aloof. It's attracted to itself, but it's yet aloof, and there's a little bit of give in it. And that's that very give that makes life possible, that makes the functions of our cells possible, is because of what's called a hydrogen. It's a certain kind of bond. But then there's another bond where now you guys are you're so polarized and you're so near each other that someone mess around and they leave a toothbrush at your house. And so that's where it all starts to go downhill. I think some would say I haven't had a lot of opportunities to have things go downhill. But I understand that it had been someone to leave a toothbrush over someone's spot, and then that's when, because now you're actually sharing something. You're that's yet a different kind of bond. That's what in terms of chemistry would be covalent. When I was getting cut off, covalent. And covalent is when something has been shared between two bonds. When something is yet when they're sharing a bank account, when they're sharing a toothbrush, when they're sharing a car. It's realer like that, and it's tighter like that, but in some ways it's nastier like that. So a lot of our reality, it's a consequence of, are things becoming closer because they're cool to one another, or are they becoming closer because they're actually now sharing something? That's a lot of what's going on in what's called chemistry, but I'm calling romance. So just and so the greatest, like if you were to get off in, like, a lot of people think they're tough and stuff like that, but if you were to get off into some BS around someone, it's going to come down to the mechanics of your footwork, the mechanics of your hand, how handy you are. And then when the good old boys get called and they hear about what happened, they want to find out, and they want to write a little 1-page research paper that's going to spell the rest of your life. It's going to be the mechanics. How did this come to be that happened? Who had what standing? Who said what? Who did what had it been said before? Who did what? It's the mechanics of what happened that is going to have consequence. And so it's similar, like, when then it gets a fight and it's real, and then there's like fireworks going off. It's the mechanics of those fireworks, of the fine mechanics that is amounting to the bigger experience. The surface of what's being experienced is a consequence of the finer mechanics. And I say, So if you're getting off into the weeds with that person that we don't want to get into the weeds with, it's because they're operating in terms of mechanics in the first place, and it's a little bit different than common sense would have us think, or that linear, straightforward logic would have us think. The author Arthur Avalon says this existence is illogical. That means that it's not illogical, but it yet employs logic and transcends logic at once. Therefore, illogical. So a great person or being would have an illogical understanding of the mechanics that are going on around us, and that can yet be finer appreciated as romance in the first place. So the most dangerous one to cross paths with is, it's funny, they say don't speak your poetry if you come across a swordsman. That's been said in other allegory, but it's been said that it can also be said, only come out with your poetry if you come out across with a swordsman, and yet maybe the poet is the greater swordsman if we're at the end of the day, because someone maybe could appreciate that. But I'm getting ready to draw this one back, but there's a couple. I've been always having good examples for badasses with this page, this content. And there was this person where I order steak a lot, no less. Before I got into a discussion with someone about steak, I probably ordered more of it than I really should. And this person always had like a certain presence to them, and it's a presence that I've seen another person have before. And it's like there, so he's like he's like a server, like bringing your food out, like when you go to pull up to a restaurant. But he is like self-possessed. That means like having some people can be coordinated while they're standing still. You can tell they're highly coordinated while they're standing still, and they look at you directly in the eye while they're serving you. Like they could serve you life, on your own life and your own death on a platter if they so choose. That's the bearing that they have. And I've seen it in two people before. And then this person I was talking to, he recently told me that he had actually been a dancer. He moonlights, and his hobby is to like show up at different dance battles and like put it on different people. So he's no less than a humble, very kind, cool server by day, and he's a badass dancer, taking names at night. But I could somewhere feel that when I was talking to him for a long time before I knew that about him. And it's because being a dancer is not very different than being like a sword player. It's a lot of the same skill. And there was a great dancer in high school who had that same bearing about me. And both of those people were some of the coolest people that showed me the most genuine acceptance and respect. It's very seldom in life that you'll meet someone who respects you, and you can feel it off of someone when they respect you. And it has consequence in your life and your development when you encounter someone who actually accepts you. And two of the people that actually accepted me were this man, this server at this restaurant that I frequent, and another friend in high school. One time I was taking a road trip in like late high school, and I have a birthmark on my head, and I was being ridiculed and humored by other students with an inside joke. And I didn't understand the context of the joke, but the people in the vicinity knew what the joke was about, me and my birthmark, and they were getting more and more blatant and brutal, and it was becoming clear that they were the reference was to me, because they were going harder and harder, and everyone but me could understand what they meant. So therefore, it would have had to be at my expense. So it was really kind of a brutal thing. But this person, he had been like the coldest dancer in school, bad dancer, man. Like he wasn't. I think I had beat him onto the basketball team in middle school and high school, but he was way more athletic, and he was like by the time we got to late high school, he could dunk, like he could do these crazy dunks on a 10-foot hoop. I think his nickname was Grasshopper. That was his real nickname. And that's if that's not a cold enough nickname, he lived up to every ounce of that. And he was also handy on a dance floor. And he was a cold dancer, but he kind of looked at me like a sword player would look at you. Like he was that cold, like how to look at you like a sword player would look at you. And he afforded me respect, because at that time they were mocking me like that. All I had been doing was listening to music. I could always be found with headphones anywhere I went when I was young, like similar like a basketball. and mine had ran out of batteries, and he didn't even say nothing. He didn't say nothing to me. He just while they were mocking me, he broke out some he broke out some energy batteries, and he was just like a sword player. They even their gestures are like a sword player, like their hand, like someone who it's a matter of honor, and they lay down their life as a matter of honor, but they'd also respect you as a matter of honor while other people are mocking you. They'll stand up and respect you at the same moment that people are mocking you, but they don't have to vocalize. They're just there for you. And if they had to, they'd probably put it on someone. But he was just like this, like with some batteries. He had this bag, the baddest girl on the field trip. They were kind of like getting to know. They were kind of getting shacked up on the bus ride, like when people are like having cool experiences, in young. And then my batteries are getting low, and then all these people were mocking me, and he was just like that. Like that's a cold one right there. But this other guy is like that too, and but but I think that being a poet is similar to being a sword player, as strange as that would sound. So sometimes I say poetry to people, and so that adage says, don't say your poetry around a swordsman unless you're yet a greater swordsman and a greater poet, and then you can say what you want, where you want, when you want, and none is the wiser if you're on point and you're upright and righteous. And so it's the same with humor and poetry and life. So I hope this can be of value. Peace.